Do they not see the drug cartels profiting billions of dollars by human trafficking and drug trafficking? Do they not see 100,000 Americans dying from fentanyl that's coming over our border? Why will they not work with us?
Well, they did try to pass
they did not, actually.
Well, because the former president told them to kill it. So I'm just saying it was negotiated by James Lankford.
Well, first of all,
and Kirsten Sinema and Chris Murphy. It was a bipartisan piece of legislation.
He's already dead.
After shamelessly bending the knee to Trump, Republicans are once again doing the rounds on TV, pretending to care about the border, and in turn pretending that they weren't instructed by the quad-dieted former president to kill a bipartisan bill to try and bolster his campaign.
I know you're not trying to zing your colleagues, but it's your colleagues in your party, sir, who torpedoed this, who didn't get the facts right on what you just outlined was in that measure. They killed it. Ironically, not Democrats.
Right. It was, and it was painful to be able to watch it. It got stirred up in all the presidential politics, and several of my colleagues started looking for ways. After President Trump said, don't fix anything during the presidential election, it's the single biggest issue during the election, don't resolve this, we'll resolve it next year. Quite a few of my colleagues backed up, looked for a reason to be able to shoot against it, and then walked away. I get that. That's a decision everybody makes in it. My issue is if we're pursuing everything, we very often end up with nothing. If we're pursuing someone coming later to fix it, later seems to never come. When we have a moment to fix things, we should fix as many things as we can then come back later and fix the rest.
That's on Donald Trump, Senator.
That, again, he's got an office that he's running for. He's got a campaign that he's running. I'm already in office. I've got a responsibility to be able to carry on this.
This week, Republicans had the unmitigated gall to try and impeach Secretary Mayorkas, led by chief conspiracy theorist herself, Marjorie Taylor Greene, on the premise of him failing to fulfill his duties as secretary. And yes, irony wept. Now, not only did their second attempt at this fail, like everything they've tried to accomplish with a majority.
In a grave assessment, you could say, this is really a violation of the sanctity of the House, what House Republicans have chosen to do with their governance of an institution that at times has risen to the greatest challenges our country has ever faced. They're now using their powers for this very political, unwarranted move and tool. And look, I started with the House in 1994, 1995, and it is sad to see how unserious it is currently under the Republican majority.
But as a result, they now have to get in front of the camera again and lie about the real reason the border issue remains unresolved again.
I understand what you're doing, breaking up these foreign aid packages, Ukraine, Taiwan, Israel, letting the House work its will, and then sending over to the Senate into one bill, whatever passes. Why didn't you do this months ago? I mean, Ukraine is desperate for aid.
Yeah, they are. Well, it takes a long time to socialize and build consensus when you have the smallest majority in U.S. history, so that's part of it, and it's very practical politics here. But also, we've had other big lifts in this Congress. As you know, we had to get the government appropriations bills done, and then we had to do the renewal of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, and some pretty heavy measures, and it was a lot to handle at one time. Look, we know what the timetable is. We know the urgency in Ukraine and in Israel, and we are going to stand by Israel, our close ally and dear friend, and we're going to stand for freedom and make sure that Vladimir Putin doesn't march through Europe. These are important responsibilities. A strong America is good for the entire world. Since World War II, really, the responsibility for the free world has been shifted onto our shoulders, and we accept that role. We're an exceptional nation. We're the greatest nation on the planet, and we have to act like it. And we have to project to Putin and Xi and Iran and North Korea and anybody else that we will defend freedom. It doesn't mean boots on the ground. We're not the world's policemen.
Another member of Congress resigned today. So now I'll be told, Chip, we only have a 1-seat majority or 2-seat majority. I don't even know what it is anymore. Let me ask you a question. Does it matter? In 2018, we had the House, we had the Senate, we had the White House, and we had a bigger majority than we have today, and we utterly failed to secure the border. Totally dropped the ball. Didn't do it.
While appearing on CNN, New York Republican Nicole Malliotakis thought she could simply spew disinformation on the issue free from pushback, only for CNN congressional correspondent Jessica Dean to hold her feet to the fire.
That's wrong. So even getting an agreement to reverse
I'm sorry to interrupt
some of that.
you. I just want to push the point there, though. But it is all happening. But at this moment in time, the time is of the essence on the funding for these aid bills.
And
this stuff has not gotten worked out in months.
Yeah, but that is why I'm making the case that, Senator Schumer and the president should be giving a little. They see what's happening to our country. Do they not see the drug cartels profiting billions of dollars by human trafficking and drug trafficking? Do they not see 100,000 Americans dying from fentanyl that's coming over our border? Why will they not work with us?
Well, they did try to pass
not, actually.
Well, because the former president told them to kill it. So I'm just saying it was negotiated by James Lankford.
Well, first of all,
and Kirsten Sinema and Chris Murphy. It was a bipartisan piece of legislation.
And to anyone who has paid attention, this is an issue because Republicans would rather neglect their duty to guarantee a plate of well-done steak at the Mar-a-Lago table than actually do something on the issue they've spent months, if not years, screaming about. But as fast-rising Democratic star John Ossoff pointed out, it was a conservative Republican who pioneered this bill, a bill supported by border security and countless Republicans that made people like me, progressives, cringe because it was so conservative and leaning to the right. But it still failed because Trump couldn't stand the idea of any issue potentially being resolved without him being in office.
No one, and I mean no one, is interested in or takes seriously lectures on border security from Senate Republicans. No one. In one of the most stunning acts of political cowardice in recent American history, a bipartisan border security bill co-authored by a conservative Republican member of this committee was put forward in the U.S. Senate. It would have tightened asylum standards to stop exploitation of the asylum system. It would have surged enforcement resources to the border. It would have meant more expedited removals of those who enter this country unlawfully. It would have empowered the federal government to take the fight to the drug cartels who are laying waste to communities across our country with fentanyl. A bipartisan border security bill co-authored by a conservative Republican member of this committee. And it wasn't just voted down by Senate Republicans, it was denied even a debate on the floor of the United States Senate. Because the former president of the United States, and he said this publicly, thought it wasn't in his political interest for the nation to be served. It wasn't in his political interest for a bipartisan border security bill to be enacted by Congress. The American people are smart. So all of the performative chest pounding today on border security is utterly disingenuous. When Senate Republicans abrogated their basic governing responsibility and refused even to let us debate and amend that bipartisan border security proposal.
Much like his wish for the stock market to crash, for gas prices to go back up, he just wants chaos to help him get re-elected. Which makes sense considering the chaos that he's created regarding women's reproductive freedom. Only that chaos, I will guarantee, will come back to haunt him.
I sat in the White House, not in a classified meeting, where Republican colleagues said that we won't have Ukraine without bipartisan border security. And then you know what? We accomplished bipartisan border security. It wasn't, and it was, oh, you can shake your head all you want, but Democrats and Republicans voted for border security. And you know what? It was Donald Trump who said, don't give Biden a win. You think about that. Put that aside. This moment is now. The United States Senate, you can have all the views you want about the United States Senate, but hold them for this debate. It is now. It is about the United States House of Representatives. We have the opportunity to do what we do here, and that is to govern. And what are we doing in governing? Is to be a world leader. And for months and months, we have been diddling around where people are dying in Ukraine. Don't talk about what weapons we want to give them. We're not giving them what they need now, and it has been months in the coming. And we ought to today, immediately, we should have picked up that Senate bill, brought it to the floor, and voted on it immediately, and we would be out of here today in doing it. Let us not rewrite what is happening. The moment is ours. And if the House of Representatives abdicates its responsibility, yes, the history will write the story. And that it is on us. When we had that moment, we said no. I, for one, will not say no.
Real quick, Meta just changed their algorithm to suppress political content. Please follow our Instagram @MeidasTouch right now as we head towards 400,000 followers so you don't miss a beat.